is a scary place where danger lurks around every corner. These are the incredible, true-life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. A stealth bomber falls out of the sky and crashes into a backyard picnic. Plus, 2 young girls have fallen through the ice. Can anyone save them? Then, it's high drama when a hot air balloon explodes against a high-tension power line. And a police officer is caught in a hail of gunfire, but it's gonna take more than a bullet to stop this tough cop.
Call an ambulance, somebody.
Then, later, a team of skydivers is trapped in a raging inferno when their plane explodes on takeoff. These are images so startling, so awesome, so unbelievable, you may think that you're watching a movie, but you're not. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos.
There's nothing more American than a family picnic. The sun, the barbecue, Grandpa blowing bubbles for the kids. What could possibly go wrong?
You get the hang of it. Look at that. There we go.
Baltimore, Maryland. It's a beautiful afternoon by the Chesapeake Bay. The McDonald family thinks all they have to worry about is a little rain falling from the sky. Not a multi-million-dollar stealth fighter jet crashing into a fireball that engulfs their neighbor's home.
Get back, Grandpa. Get back. Just get back, get back, get back.
It all starts at the Chesapeake Air Show with a stealth fighter flyby. 12,000 people are packed into Martin Air Base, while thousands more watch from backyard picnics and parties across the bay. Then, the unimaginable happens.
Get your cameras out and take your shot.
The military's most fearsome fighter jet breaks apart in midair. Nearby, Gloria and Diane Stump's family picnic is almost their last.
And I said, gee, Diane, look at that plane. It's coming down awful fast, and it's awful close to the ground.
You're looking up, and you're seeing a black, flat piece of machinery falling from the sky.
She jumped up, and she said, I think it's going to crash.
The pilot, Major Brian Knight, faces a life-and-death decision. Should he bail out and save himself? Or should he stay aboard the jet and aim it toward the bay, away from the thousands of defenseless spectators below?
Stay where you are, folks. This is okay. Stay where you are.
Incredibly, the pilot maintains control of the jet, avoids the crowd, and still manages to eject in time. But the aircraft falls short of the bay and crashes into the neighborhood.
Oh my God. Get back, Grandpa. Jeez, it's gonna explode. What?
All of a sudden, it blew up and exploded. Pieces of the cars and plane were just like blowing up and flying all over.
People were screaming and people were running down the yard. It was just like total chaos.
It was horrible. It really was horrible.
Eyewitnesses can't believe that the pilot makes it out alive, ejecting at the last possible moment.
We've got a good shoot.
I could see that this guy stayed with this plane until it almost hit the ground.
I started to run over toward the house, and at that moment, the pilot fell right in front of me.
Gloria and Diane come to the aid of the heroic pilot. Later, at a press conference, he reflects on that fateful moment.
After I landed and Diane Stump came up to me and said, well, I don't think anybody was in the house, I was incredibly relieved.
He kept saying, you know, is everybody okay? I tried to make it to the water. He was very intensely concerned about the people on the ground.
I knew where I was. I knew that I was over a neighborhood, and that really, that scared me, to be honest with you.
I thank the Lord that nobody was in that house, because they would have been dead today.
If it hadn't been for the quick thinking of Major Knight, thousands of lives could have been lost.
That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that, and I don't want to see it again.
The Italian Alps. For hikers, these mountains are paradise on earth. A home video camera captures the beauty of a 1,000-year-old glacier rising out of Lake Miyagi. A group of tourists moves closer to the massive frozen cliff when suddenly the ice begins to break apart. As the glacier starts to collapse, the tourists are too stunned to move. They seem paralyzed until a colossal wave sweeps them off their feet. The icy water pounds the panicked sightseers with tremendous force, slamming their bodies into the jagged rocks below. Bruised and battered, they struggle to survive. These sightseers have experienced a dramatic display of nature's awesome power. It is a sight they'll never forget. Escape artists risk their lives every time they perform a stunt. Even the great Houdini couldn't cheat death forever. But now, a daring new breed of escape artist is attempting stunts so dangerous that few could survive them.
I just want to prove that I'm the #1 escape artist in the world, bar none.
On the 66th anniversary of Houdini's death, escape artist Bill Shirk prepares to be buried alive under 7 tons of wet mud and concrete, while handcuffed and chained in a plexiglass coffin.
I had an eerie feeling within my heart that this is one maybe I wasn't going to be bringing Bill out alive in.
But as the concrete is being poured over the coffin, something goes wrong.
I just didn't like anything about this stunt from the time we started.
The plastic coffin collapses, pinning Bill under tons of mud and concrete. 2 years earlier, on the anniversary of Houdini's death, escape artist Joe Burris attempted the same stunt, but it ended tragically when his coffin also collapsed, suffocating him in front of a large crowd of onlookers. Now, Bill Shirk is trapped, gasping for air, as each precious moment draws his life closer to an end. The weight of the wet earth and concrete is too much for the plexiglass coffin to bear.
And then all of a sudden it started creaking and creaking and cracking and cracking, and boom.
The coffin shatters, and Bill is stuck beneath it. He tries to escape.
I really felt that things were going wrong with our radio communications between Bill and I. It actually broke.
Suffocating under the crushing weight, there is no way out.
I could not break through.
As precious seconds tick away, a backhoe is brought in to dig Bill out of his cement grave.
Personally, I thought I was going to have to be digging up a corpse.
Fearing the worst, Bill's stunt coordinator jumps into the pit, digging frantically, searching for any sign of life. Bill's hand emerges, but seems lifeless. It is feared that he is dying. Crew members pull Bill from his concrete tomb and struggle to revive him.
Well, I was actually underground with a collapse for over 22 minutes, where basically everybody in the world thought I was dead.
Miraculously, Bill survives his agonizing ordeal.
Just the sheer weight of 6 tons of dirt and concrete coming crashing down on the inside that coffin that he had. It's just amazing that he's even lived through that.
And if Houdini was up on top, looking down, he would have said that's the greatest escape stunt ever done in the history of escape. Spared my life on this one, and it'll be a while before I'll do one of these, I'll tell you that.
Because next time, Bill Shirk may not be so lucky. Butte, Montana. A suicidal man has packed his car with explosives. Distraught over a failed marriage, he is threatening to blow up downtown and everyone in it. When Officer Bob Lee and Sheriff Bob Butorovich arrive on the scene, they make a startling discovery. They know this man. He's local resident Terry Rossland.
I have known Terry from the time he was 15 years old. We were trying to get him to give up the idea of taking his life.
The two men are faced with an agonizing decision. If they call in the bomb squad, Terry might panic. So they choose to ignore their own safety and handle the situation themselves.
I think we all felt 100% sure that nothing was going to happen.
But the officers are shocked by what they see inside the car.
His thumb was twitching on what we call a toggle switch, which he had wired to anywhere from 20 to 25 gallons of gasoline in the back seat.
Without protective equipment, the officers are at great risk. But just when they're hoping that a friendly conversation can end this nightmare,
Man down over here, on your left.
somehow Sheriff Butorovich manages to struggle to his feet.
I was totally engulfed in flames. When I felt the impact in the chest, it was just a horrendous impact. I thought I was gone.
But even more incredibly, the driver, Terry Roslin, has not only survived the blast, he is now stumbling down the street on fire.
There he is, get him, Matt!
I was literally horrified and turned away from the scene.
As we watch again, we see that Roslin has survived the fiery explosion.
There he is, get him, Matt!
Police officers apprehend the deranged bomber. And then, the scene is jolted by another powerful blast.
Get that police car out of there. We better get out of here.
The force of the explosion actually lifted me off the ground and pushed me south of where Terry's vehicle was. And I felt this excruciating pain in my arm. I thought, this is it.
Incredibly, all three men survived the terrifying explosions. Bob Lee accepts his survival as a matter of fate.
I think I've been a firm believer that when it's your time, it's your time. And it wasn't my time.
Sao Paulo, Brazil. This concert hall has recently been renovated to the tune of $85 million. Tonight's performance celebrates the grand reopening. But as the crowd rises to sing their national anthem, the 200-member choir goes crashing down. The brand new bleachers collapse to the amazement of the audience and orchestra. 43 people suffer minor injuries, but thankfully, everyone survives. Whenever a police officer straps on his weapon, he never knows what to expect. Sometimes he can find himself staring down the barrel of a loaded gun.
Call an ambulance, somebody! Come on.
Jackson, Mississippi. Police surround the home of a suspect wanted on a drug charge. Special Agent Dan Norton leads the early morning raid, which he expects to be routine. Suddenly, the arrest takes a violent turn. Shots ring out from the back of the house, where a female officer is guarding the door. As Dan rounds the corner, his partner, Jim Marlette, returns fire, hitting the suspect.
You heard? That son of a bitch shot at her. I think I got him. Watch him, Daddy.
The female officer is dodging bullets behind a woodpile. Then, the wounded suspect shoots Dan at point-blank range.
Wait! Damn! You heard? Okay.
Hey, Vince!
You can get an ambulance!
Vince, get the radio, call an ambulance!
But this cop isn't frightened. He's furious.
I was angry that he actually had the audacity to shoot the police.
Police!
You know, first thing I did was grab my chest because of the pain. I knew I had a vest on, so I didn't know if the bullet had penetrated the vest or not because I did have blood on my shirt.
Marty! Marty!
Although in pain, not even a bullet can stop this tough cop.
I knew I'd been shot, but I knew I also had to take care of the situation.
Hey, Vince! Do you hear me?
Hey, we're the police, now come on!
The suspect does not respond, but the officers need to see what's going on inside.
It's a policeman! Slide the gun on the floor!
You know, it's not the smartest thing in the world to stick your head around the corner when someone has a weapon on the other side.
Hey, you guys got a mirror?
No, I sure don't.
Dan has a plan. He grabs a piece of wood and breaks a mirror off the suspect's car. He runs back to the house, mirror in hand.
You just well to give it up, man!
He angles it inside, but he still can't see the suspect. Dan must quickly come up with another idea.
When something goes bad like this, you have to take care of business or more people are going to get hurt.
Dan races to his car and pulls out canisters of tear gas and a shotgun. He heads back to the front porch, ready to flush the suspect out of his house.
It's a policeman! Slide the gun on the floor!
Suddenly, another voice cries out. Police don't realize that the suspect's wife is in the house.
Tell him to lay down on the ground! Lay down on the ground and crawl! Don't let the gun out here where he can see it! Slide the gun hard! Tell him to crawl! Put him on the... Oh, he's hurt! Put him on the floor! He is on the floor! Hands on the back of his head!
Although Dan has already been shot, he moves in. There's no immediate sign of the suspect, but there's plenty of evidence of the furious gun battle. Then they find the wanted man, unconscious and clinging to life. His wife is by his side.
He did have another weapon beside him. It was a rifle. He'd been lying there trying to load a rifle, and I guess had passed out from loss of blood.
Paramedics quickly rush the man to a nearby hospital, where he survives his wounds. Luckily, the bullet fired at Dan's chest narrowly caught the edge of his protective vest.
If I had not put on my vest that morning with the close range that we were at, it probably would have killed me.
Call an ambulance, somebody!
Agent Dan Norton knows he's lucky to be alive.
I think most definitely someone was looking out for me.
Watching, Daddy?
Hot air balloons float above the landscape, splashing the sky with vibrant color. They defy gravity to become one with the clouds. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Balloonists from all over the world soar above the beautiful high desert.
Oh, it's like a rainbow. They're just all the different colors and shapes of all these balloons.
At the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, the pilots begin their descent into the landing zone. Watching from his hotel room, tourist Arthur Minizoli is awestruck.
I grabbed my camera and ran outside and started photographing all the balloons.
But suddenly, a shift in the wind sends the balloons off course. Some pilots are forced to land in dangerous locations, while others are blown into nearby buildings. One is headed for disaster.
So I ran around the balcony and was photographing it as it apparently was going to descend into a Little League baseball field.
The wind propels the balloon into the path of high-voltage power lines.
I could see through the viewfinder that there was obstructions in the little field there.
The pilot struggles to control the runaway balloon, but it hits the electrical wires, causing sparks to fly.
When they first went into those power lines, there was an enormous flash.
The basket hangs perilously. The power lines, coursing with deadly volts of electricity, continue to arc and crackle. The balloon's highly flammable propane tanks could explode at any second.
It's one of those things where your heart misses a beat. You know something's going to happen.
Rescue trucks are racing to the scene, but nothing can stop the inevitable.
Call an ambulance. Call a rescue or something. Oh,
The fuel tanks explode, severing the basket from the balloon and sending the frightened passengers plummeting to the ground.
It was terrifying, and there's nothing you can do.
Arthur is convinced that he's just watched two men fall to their deaths.
Oh, I'm telling you, when you see that separation in the basket fall, you think, there they go. And if they were alive, they're not going to be.
But as the dust settles, he sees a sign of life.
And when the basket hit the ground, one of the fellows must have kind of rolled out.
The pilot and his passenger, Stuart Spicer, have survived. Although suffering from a concussion and broken bones, Stuart crawls through the dirt.
It knocked every ounce of wind out of me. I was crawling around on the ground, I remember, just gasping for air.
The rescue units finally arrive, and Stuart feels lucky to be alive.
I do think myself very, very fortunate to have walked away from this accident.
Sometimes I still well up in tears thinking about it, because it's very, very dramatic and terrifying to see something like that.
Sao Paulo, Brazil. A crazed bank robber holds a frightened teller hostage, threatening to slit her throat.
The feeling of the knife on my neck was horrible.
For hours, police tried to negotiate with no success.
He was very nervous and flustered, capable of anything.
Rosalina Mendonca knows that the razor-sharp blade is only inches away from her jugular.
I felt that at any moment he could stab me.
Finally, Lieutenant Paulo Enrique sees an opportunity and strikes with a vengeance.
It really startled him. He didn't expect that anyone could have reached him.
Rosalina escapes as officers apprehend the robber.
I just ran. My only thought was, I'm free and I'm fine.
As for Lieutenant Enrique, he's a modest cop who feels he was just doing his job.
I feel very gratified, very happy as a policeman to have had the opportunity to help a person in need.
Beartooth, Montana. Brothers Bob and Ron Michelson ride their favorite horses, Bull and Waco, up the mountain for their annual camping trip with their buddies.
We just happened to be up there for a week and a half to 2 weeks vacation.
And we were sitting around the bus playing cards and cooking some hamburgers on the grill.
Their solitude is broken when a man shows up at camp shouting that a raging forest fire is coming their way, but it's already too late for them to escape. 7 miles of sky-high flames are blocking the only road out.
Holy shoot. And that's the only way out right there. Our hearts are just pounding. Spring's going up. This is what we got coming towards us. Not a thing we can do.
A careless fire at a nearby camp has turned the forest into hell on earth. With nowhere to run and nothing to do but pray, Ron records what he fears might be the last few moments of his life.
It's getting big. I have never seen such a thing in my entire life. It's unbelievable. No place for us to go.
I'd never seen anything like that before. Nothing but a wall of orange flame. From the top of one mountain down to the bottom, there was just one wall of flame. It's an awesome sight to stand there knowing that you can't go out, so you just sort of hope that Mother Nature's gonna spare you.
Right now we're trying to get all these vehicles and everything in a circle. We're gonna put all the horses in the center. This is grass, right? Yeah. Worst comes to worst, just jump back and get the horse trailer.
We figured we'd get into the horse trailer when the flames actually hit us.
But it nearly turned out to be a fatal mistake.
There were 4 or 5 of us in a trailer, yet you had no idea who they were. All you knew, there were bodies in there, and they were screaming to get out because it was on fire.
Burned out of their only shelter, the men are running out of oxygen. With the fire just inches away, they realize that even if they can't save themselves, they must try to save their horses, so they turn them loose.
Let's go. You ready to go? Get your coat and let's get in the creek. Well, if we're going, I'm letting those horses go before I go anywhere. They'll be the first things out of here.
We decided to let the horses go, not knowing if we'd ever see the horses again, and not knowing if we'd ever see ourselves again.
We ain't got no chance. Yeah. No, I'm afraid you're gonna have to let those horses go and just everybody for himself. We gotta get in the water and get in the creek right now.
But just when things look like they can't get any worse,
Hey, those are live rounds going off, guys.
the fire ignites a box of ammunition stored in a camper.
Oh boy, bullets, they're all bullets. Sound like a submachine gun down there. There's bullets going off, propane bottles. You don't know where to stand.
Every time you heard a bang, you were ducking.
It finally dawned on me that we weren't going to survive this fire.
The smoke is so intense I can't keep my eyes open. And here it is, coming right here.
Despite the danger, Ron can't stop videotaping the flames, which are about to consume him and his brother.
Put it away. Go put it away. Say your prayers, buddy.
As I was filming this right before the fire got to us, my brother yelled at me to just get rid of the camera, and that's when the fire came down on us.
Ron and Bob know that their last hope is to take refuge in the creek.
Grab a bunch of blankets if we have to. We'll wet them down and lay in the creek.
Blankets, horse blankets, whatever you can get your hands on.
Okay, here it comes. Okay, gotta sign off now. We gotta go.
Luckily, the defenseless men are spared when the fire finally burns itself out.
Terry, we got her life, buddy. We got her life. Made her through the fire. A bunch of scared puppies. But everybody that hung together were all still here.
The smoke disappeared, and then you could actually see what had happened, and the vehicles were still burning, and ammunition was still going off, and it looked like a graveyard.
But did that graveyard include their horses, Bull and Waco? The brothers fear the worst.
Heard a noise out the driver's window of the truck and looked over, and here come both our horses right back down the trail. And
Like I said, if there was a bright spot in the whole thing, that would have been it.
by that time, we were feeling real lucky and real happy. The first time I saw the video after the fire, sitting down on the couch watching it with the family and stuff, I really realized how lucky we were to come out of there unscathed.
It's getting unreal. We gotta get the water and get in the creek right now.
I thought we were dead. So did my brother. I'm surprised we did make it out. I really am.
Say your prayers, buddy.
Each time they jump, skydivers gamble with their lives.
It's an incredible release. It's an escape, even if it's only for a minute at a time.
And each time they land, they've beaten the odds. But these skydivers are about to tempt fate without ever leaving the ground. Lake Elsinore, California. 30 veteran skydivers are preparing for a spectacular jump.
Hi, Mom. How's it going, eh?
It's just before sunset, and the team is anxious to get up into the air. They hope to make history by breaking the record for the world's largest nighttime jump.
We'd come very close one or two times before, but just not quite made it. And this time we were all excited. It was going to happen this time. We were real sure.
The excited skydivers are unaware of the terrifying disaster that awaits them. Weighed down with gear, they squeeze through the narrow entrance of the DC-3. Veteran pilot Skip Evans fires up the engines.
I always chose to fly the night jumps. I kind of like doing the extra stuff.
With the jumpers in place and the plane loaded with fuel, Skip taxis to the end of the runway.
We taxied out, nothing unusual. Everybody's excited. Everybody's thinking about what they're doing.
All systems are go. The engines rev up to full power. Skip releases the brake. Then, seconds later, there is a horrifying sound.
All of a sudden, I remember a loud pop. It sounded just like a huge backfire.
Watch again through the doorway as a violent explosion rocks the plane. It's not a backfire. It's the left propeller snapping off and shredding the engine.
There was fire, there was flames, there was smoke.
32 people are now trapped aboard a blazing fuselage of fuel. And there's only one way out.
My personal feeling was we're not getting off this aircraft. It's either going to blow up before we can get out of here, or we're going to burn up, or we're all going to be asphyxiated with the smoke.
Terror grips the passengers and crew when they realize they have only seconds to escape.
There was a lot of screaming and panicking going on in the back of the airplane. I couldn't see what was going on because of the smoke. It was so great on the inside.
Skydiver Chet Bennett springs into action.
I just reacted. I did what was just a natural thing to do.
Forcing his way past the frantic skydivers, Chet finds the rear hatch and starts pulling them to safety.
There's nobody that could have handled it any better.
Remarkably, all 30 jumpers escaped the inferno. But in the cockpit, the crew is still trapped.
I didn't think that we was going to get out of the cockpit.
Overcome by smoke, Skip and his co-pilot Mike desperately claw their way through the top hatch.
I thought any minute it was going to explode.
Mike fears his only chance is to leap from the plane to the flames below.
He looked at me with a puzzled look, like he was going to jump off the nose. Like, what else do we have? I said, follow me.
Skip leads Mike through a blinding cloud of smoke and fire, down to the tail of the plane.
Then I got away from the airplane, because I thought it was going to blow any time.
Moments after they leap from the wreckage, the fuel tanks ignite. Now the DC-3 is engulfed in flames. Thankfully, everyone gets out alive. But had the plane actually become airborne, this story might have had a different ending.
If that prop would have come apart just a few seconds later, nobody would have lived to it. I'm sure of that.
Their dream of a record-setting skydive may have gone up in flames. But thanks to the heroic efforts of Chet Bennett, they lived to jump again. Two frightened girls have fallen into the icy river and the swift current is sweeping them downstream. The water is so cold they have only minutes to live. Alberta, Canada. Three friends are walking along the banks of the frozen Saskatchewan River when they see Fiona Clark and Aaron Daniels gasping for breath.
We're gonna have to go out and get her.
With no time to spare, Mike Rennick and his friends make a desperate dash to the water's edge.
Just hang on, honey.
I knew that they were in a lot of danger, and I knew that the longer that they stayed in the water, the worse off they were going to be.
Hang on, we're coming.
The swift current has swept Fiona 40 yards downstream. She screams for help, but Aaron is closer and Mike decides to go for her first. Ignoring his own safety and with the ice cracking around him, Mike grabs for Aaron's arm.
Hang on to the ice.
At that point, I was starting to get very, very tired. And I tried to then grab back onto the ice that was there, and my fingers just slipped right through it. And I honestly remember thinking that I wasn't going to make it out.
Summoning all his strength, Mike pulls Erin out of the frigid water and pushes her away from the thin ice.
Now crawl. Come on. You can't even move. Come on, you have to. Okay. You don't have time. We have to get you out of the window. Come on.
Erin is safe. But there's no time to celebrate. Now they must race downstream where Fiona is waging a frantic battle to stay alive.
You hang on, honey.
My biggest fear when I was holding on to that ice and it was breaking and the current was pulling me under was that I'd be stuck under the ice and that would be it.
The raging current is taking its toll. Fiona is going under. Mike calls out cautiously.
There might be too much weight there. Back up the rest of you.
You could hear the ice cracking around them, like a loud crack. At that point, I was really scared because I knew, oh my gosh, the ice is too thin and you're not going to be able to save me.
The men stretch out to form a human lifeline.
Pull. Yes, you can. Come on now. Come on. Don't give me that. Come on. Get your foot. Come on. Give me that foot.
Mike grabs onto Fiona's foot, but quickly loses his grip. Now Fiona has to help save herself. Mike is determined not to let her give up.
Okay, start kicking. Kick. Come on, kick. Get off.
Although she can't feel her legs, Fiona manages to kick free.
Like I never gave up at all just because I wanted to see my mom and dad and I wanted to see my dog. And, I was determined not to die under that ice.
Okay.
That's it, calm down. You're okay, you're okay. Good job, Mike. You did a damn good job.
Mike Rennick doesn't consider himself a hero, because when he was saving these kids, he was thinking of his own.
If something like that ever happens to my kids and I'm not around, I surely hope that there is somebody that's willing to do what we did.
Amusement parks. On these wild rides, the screams are real, but an old-fashioned Ferris wheel couldn't scare anyone, or could it? Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Scarlett Blake and her little sister Adrian are aboard the Ferris wheel known as Big Eli. The girls are having the time of their lives. But then...
I heard something pop.
Scarlett has fallen off their seat. As she plummets toward the ground, her legs catch in the support wires. Her mother, Penny, stares up in horror.
I almost had heart failure because I knew my kids were on there. There was one person hanging upside down trying to catch on, and I recognized my daughter's clothes.
Penny is in shock, watching her daughter dangle 47 feet in the air. Her life is now hanging by a thread.
And I was scared if I called out to her that she would look for me and maybe lose her grip.
With no regard for their own safety, park employees climb up the Ferris wheel, knowing that any second Scarlett could fall to an almost certain death. She cries out that her legs are starting to go numb.
So I just said, please don't let her fall, and just stood there and watched, helpless.
But just as she is about to lose her grip, the workers reach out and keep her from falling. They hold on long enough for more help to arrive. With no time to spare, firefighters pull the terrified girl to safety. She is quickly rushed into a waiting ambulance, suffering from cuts, bruises, and a badly broken arm. But thanks to her rescuers, she is alive. Even today, Scarlett still can't believe what she lived through.
You know how you have a dream and you like falling? And that's what it felt like, and you were just gonna snap wide awake and it was gonna be over with, but it didn't.
When you watch again, you realize just how lucky Scarlett is. If she had fallen just a few inches in either direction, the results would have been disastrous.
I think it's a miracle. I'm here.
Liquor store clerks. Tragically, they're often the innocent victims of gun-toting robbers. Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You want a glass of plastic?
Gene Casey and Debbie Ellison are working the late shift at the Springdale liquor store.
We were talking about what if something would happen, you know, like somebody would come in to rob the store. And
we both agreed, man, we'd give the money.
But just 30 minutes after the conversation, their resolve would be put to the test. Danny Carter, an ex-con with a history of armed robbery, enters the store.
He just looked like a normal, everyday person, not threatening or anything of that nature.
With the calculated ease of a veteran criminal, Carter shoves his hand into his pocket and demands that Debbie give him the cash.
And she says, what have you got there? And he says, I've got a gun. She knew then he was serious.
But when Carter turns away to keep an eye on Gene, he accidentally reveals that he's not holding a gun at all. It's only a hair comb. Seeing that he doesn't have a weapon, Gene and Debbie decide to take matters into their own hands.
I think we just kind of knew what each other were thinking, that we weren't going to go for this, just let him walk out with money.
She saw it, and with her eyes, she's like going like this and like, go for it, Jeannie. And I knew then I had to do it. And I knew I had to make this count.
Gene sneaks up from behind and delivers a bottle slam to the robber's head. Stunned, Carter spins back around, only to be met with another blow to the skull. The bottle breaks across his forehead, leaving him dazed and wobbly. Disoriented, he pulls out his phony weapon, but he's no match for two angry women swinging 80-proof justice. Beaten, bloodied, and humiliated, Carter retreats with Gene and Debbie in hot pursuit. He flees in a waiting car. But thanks to this security video, the hard-headed felon is now behind bars. Oslo, Norway. cameras are rolling when a track and field event becomes the scene of a bizarre accident. Finished javelin thrower Juha Laukkanen needs just one more mighty toss to win the competition. He's in perfect form and gives it all he's got. Official Håkon Lund stands ready to judge the throw, but the blinding afternoon sun makes it impossible for him to see that the javelin is flying much further than expected. The judge quickly removes the spear, but the pain is too much to bear. Remarkably, he suffers only a minor flesh wound. Had he been standing just 3 inches to his left, the javelin would have plunged right into his chest, resulting in instant death.
The world is a scary place, where danger lurks around every corner. These are the incredible, true-life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. Coming up, it's the scariest show on Earth when a circus elephant goes on a rampage of terror. Plus, a devastating earthquake rocks an ancient cathedral, trapping helpless tourists inside. And a panic-stricken woman escapes from a burning inferno by jumping headfirst to the ground below. Then, a TV cameraman in the wrong place at the wrong time gets the close-up of a lifetime. And it's terror in the sky when a jumper's bungee cord snaps in midair. These are images so startling, so awesome, so unbelievable, you may think that you're watching a movie, but you're not. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos.
Bull riding, rodeo's roughest event. It's 8 seconds of man against beast. And then it's supposed to be over. Meet champion bull rider Tough Hedeman. He's about to live up to his nickname. Las Vegas, Nevada, the national finals. Tough is on Copenhagen Stinger, an animal so mean he's known as the Eliminator. The men in the colorful costumes are rodeo clowns. They aren't there to entertain the crowd. Their job is to step in and distract the bull and save the rider's life. Back in the chute, the animal's lethal horns are held down by a piece of lumber. Tough straps himself in for the ride, his hand lashed tightly to the snorting beast. The gate is thrown open, and the bull barrels into the ring. Just seconds into his ride, Tough is thrown off. But his hand is still wedged between the twisted ropes. He can't get free. The bull spins around, battering him to the ground. Frantically, the rodeo clowns struggle to control the rampaging animal, but the bucking bull tosses them aside like rag dolls. Watching from the stands, Tough's wife, Tracy, is frozen with fear.
All of a sudden, things just kind of went from bad to worse. It was scary seeing him there and knowing I couldn't do anything.
If Tough blacks out and falls beneath the bull's pounding hooves, he could be crushed to death. Almost 60 seconds have passed. Tough is conscious, but he is taking an incredible beating.
When something lasts that long, of course, you just get into a panic state. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, he's never gonna get out of this. 2 rodeo clowns literally take the bull by the horns, while the other men pile on top of the wild animal. They are finally able to cut Tough loose. But no one in the arena knows how badly he is hurt. The shocked crowd holds its breath.
Then a collective sigh of relief as the dazed and badly bruised rider staggers to his feet.
I just was so exhausted that I could just barely stand up. Felt like I'd been hung up for 7 days and 7 nights.
When it was all over with, then I just sat down and cried, just thinking, oh, he's okay.
It was just a pretty eerie feeling that I just kept going on and on and on and on.
The bull may have won that day, but this brave champion continues to ride the rodeo circuit.
When the chute comes open, it's a feeling that it never changes. It just, all of a sudden you go from being perfectly still to all hell breaks loose.
For him, when the going gets tough, tough gets going. Assisi, Italy. Residents try to rebuild their lives following a devastating 5.5 earthquake. Construction crews work to secure the crumbling framework of the world-renowned St. Francis Basilica and the priceless 13th century frescoes that line the fractured walls of the church's interior. Across town, citizens team with rescue workers in an attempt to stabilize their most cherished landmark, a 600-year-old bell tower. The quake has left the massive structure wobbling precariously atop the crumbling pillars. But just as workers are attaching support lines, a frightening rumble thunders from below. A violent aftershock shakes the village, sending the prized tower crashing to the street. Back at the Basilica, the shockwaves strike. Terrified workers race for the door as the ceiling begins to collapse. We can see gigantic slabs of mortar and marble crash to the floor as the church is engulfed in a cloud of dust. Medical teams rush to the scene as the people inside struggle to free themselves from the rubble. Villagers will spend several months and millions of dollars recovering from this violent quake. Tragically, no amount of money can ever replace the precious works of art that were destroyed by nature's awesome fury. Peterborough, England. Skydiving instructors give first-time jumpers the thrill of their lives. The students even get a souvenir video shot by this helmet camera that captures every heart-stopping moment. At 13,000 feet, jumpers take the plunge, attached to their instructors. Instructor Mike Smith is strapped to the back of his student, Richard Maynard. He shouts out last-minute advice. They jump, followed closely by Ronnie O'Brien, who is shooting this video. It's a picture-perfect dive. When Mike pulls the first of 2 ripcords, there's big trouble. The chute snaps upward, and its ropes wrap around Mike's neck, choking his windpipe and rendering him unconscious. The panicked student can't find the emergency ripcord. The men spin out of control, hurtling toward the earth at more than 250 feet a second. Meanwhile, Ronnie, who has been videotaping all this from a few hundred feet above, swoops into action. Knowing that they only have moments to open the second chute, he plunges toward his fellow jumpers. Ronnie grabs for the ripcord, but he can't reach it.
And I was probably about 6 seconds away from the ground.
Down to his last chance, Ronnie grabs and pulls. Mercifully, the chute deploys and the men are spared. It was only after watching the tape and seeing the rope wrapped tightly around his neck that Mike understood the full magnitude of Ronnie's heroics.
If Ronnie hadn't been there, then both Richard and I would certainly have died.
Chicago, Illinois. A fire has turned an apartment building into a raging inferno of smoke and flames. Annabelle Perez pleads helplessly from her third-story window. But she is concerned with more than just her own safety. She is 7 months pregnant. She and her husband Noel are trapped inside, gasping for air and desperate for a way out.
I thought the woman was going to die. Everybody was screaming and horrified. It was a very, very frightening experience.
Police can't wait for firefighters to arrive. They unfurl a blanket under Annabelle's window.
We were getting desperate. She looked like she was going to jump at any moment.
Annabelle panics as the fire consumes their small apartment. Choking on deadly clouds of smoke, she is determined to save the life of her unborn child.
We realized that if she didn't jump, she probably was going to be burned, possibly killed.
Police officers position the blanket beneath the window. There is no time to spare. Annabelle must jump to save her life. Noel lowers his wife slowly out of the window. Shockingly, she insists on falling headfirst. For what must seem like an eternity, Annabelle hangs upside down until her husband has no choice but to release her. The police rip the blanket tightly, but the impact is so severe, she smashes right through it and into the sidewalk.
She landed with such force that she literally ripped the blanket out of our hands. So we didn't actually catch her. We just broke the fall.
Firefighters begin to move a ladder into position for Noel, but the heat is too intense for him to bear. He jumps and makes it safely to the ground below. But Annabelle's condition is critical. She is rushed to the hospital, fearing for the life of her unborn child.
Oh, she's pregnant!
Annabelle had no choice. She had to jump, or both she and her baby would have been burned alive.
I just remember thinking that we were gonna die. We were gonna get burned.
As Annabelle made the agonizing decision to jump, she prayed for the courage to do what was right for her unborn baby.
That's why I decided to go head first as well. Because if anything bad was to happen, let it happen to me first. And that way, she could at least have a chance. You want to live, you want to survive, you do what's necessary.
We were very blessed.
So blessed that she named her baby Milagro, Spanish for miracle.
She's my life. She's my best friend. I could go through anything as long as I have her on my side.
Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It's a battle for the championship in the world's largest soccer stadium, the Maracanã. The stadium is packed with over 150,000 frenzied fans, way beyond the legal limit. Tension mounts on the playing field as the crowd goes wild, waving balloons and clapping their hands. All eyes are on the game. Then suddenly, disaster. Pandemonium reigns as the railing collapses, sending 50 petrified fans over the edge. Some hang on for dear life, while others plunge 25 feet, slamming into the stunned spectators below. Security guards try to hold back the crush of fans. They fear that even more people may topple from the overcrowded balcony. The injured are carried away in rescue helicopters. And amazingly, the game continues. Grand Rapids, Michigan. When state patrol officers pull over a car for not having its lights on, they find a drunk teenager at the wheel.
Neil, I'm going to ask you to take a breath test.
The 17-year-old girl is intoxicated and taken into custody. Her hands are cuffed behind her back in what seems like a routine arrest. Then she's put into the back seat of the patrol car.
I'm a peace officer. You are under the arrest and offense of operating a vehicle while under the influence of intoxicating liquor. You understand what I read to you? No. What part didn't you understand?
Can you repeat it all, please?
While the girl's passenger is being questioned, the officers don't notice her climbing into the front seat of the patrol car. Somehow, she gets her handcuffed hands in front of her and onto the wheel of the patrol car. With the lights still flashing, she drives off in the arresting officer's vehicle. Her emotions running wildly out of control, she speeds through the town's peaceful residential streets. The chase is on. The cops pull in front of the hysterical girl at an intersection. But that doesn't stop her. In a daring effort to keep her from getting on the interstate, the police sideswipe her vehicle to try and push it off the road. It doesn't work. With the cops in hot pursuit, she speeds onto the highway. The girl barrels down the road at more than 100 miles an hour, with the police close on her tail. Remember, she's still handcuffed. Determined to stop her before the chase ends in tragedy, the police surround the hijacked patrol car and box it in against the guardrail. Suddenly, the girl tries to ram her way out. The officers shoot at her tires in an attempt to disable her vehicle. But then, the panicked and inebriated young woman makes another irrational move. Still using the patrol car as a battering ram, the teenager finally breaks free. Though badly damaged, her car starts weaving dangerously down the highway. Taking no chances this time, a battery of police cars meet her head-on and stop her cold. The high-speed chase ends without injury. The teenager is arrested on charges that include drunk driving and resisting arrest. Her joyriding days are over. Extreme skiing, thrilling, exhilarating, and sometimes deadly. Valdez, Alaska, the World Extreme Skiing Championships. It's cold outside, but the heat is on as Anna Kanarowski prepares for a downhill run she hopes will crown her world champion. Little does she know that in a split second, her dream will be shattered. Her skis hit a rock and are sheared off, sending Anna on a terrifying plunge down the treacherous mountain.
Oh,
Stop.
Just as the slope begins to smooth out, she takes one more painful blow.
We need serious help up there.
After somehow enduring the life-threatening fall, Anna miraculously lifts her head.
She's sitting up. She's sitting up. She's okay. She's sitting up.
A rescuer quickly arrives and finds her disoriented and critically wounded.
I kept saying, am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? And they didn't really answer me.
The stretcher is lowered from a helicopter hovering above. Anna is strapped in and rushed to a nearby hospital, where she survives her frightening ordeal. Today, she reflects on what went wrong.
What triggered the fall was that when I went over that jump, I hit a rock as I was going over it, and then I leaned forward and it caused me to come out of a ski. That's when I lost control. I had no skis to stop me. As I went over the cliff part, I saw this gully down below, and it just felt like I was a bird flying out there. My arms were out, and I just went flying off that cliff. was trying to stop the whole time, but I couldn't stop. It was so steep, there was no way to stop. Because I was conscious, I kept feeling my head banging against the rocks.
Incredibly, this terrible accident hasn't caused Anna to give up the sport she loves. But each and every day, she is thankful to be alive.
I definitely feel lucky because when I fell over that cliff, I was really scared and I thought I was going to die.
London, England. A bank robber approaches a teller and demands she hand over the cash. But employees activate a security shield, foiling his plan. The robber races to escape through the front door, but mistakenly thinks he's been locked inside. He repeatedly tries to push his way out. Too bad he can't read the sign on the door that says, "Pull." But then, an unintentional accomplice, a little old lady, opens the door and shows him the error of his ways. This video gave the police all they needed to catch and convict the confused crook. At least the cops won't have to worry about this criminal escaping from jail. Honolulu, Hawaii. As Steve Hirano heads off to work, he has no idea that this day might be his last. He works for a circus, where during today's performance, an angry elephant goes berserk and attacks her trainer.
As I saw what was happening, you knew that something was wrong, and you hoped that the situation would come under control by itself.
Oh my goodness, oh my God!
But this beast is not about to be tamed. Spectators watch in horror as the crazed elephant stomps her trainer with a deadly fury.
She was shaking that left front leg, and the guy's head was just bobbing around on his neck. Oh my gosh!
Fortunately, the trainer survives. But when the angry beast turns on the crowd, Gail Shaleski is afraid for the safety of her two children. They could be his next victims.
There was a lot of screaming and yelling, grown men pushing women and children to beat a pathway to the door.
People started to climb up the stairs or climb up the rafters in terms of just moving away.
Gail's two daughters are panic-stricken.
People started to scream and yell and run out the doors. I've never been that scared before.
But then, an unlikely hero summons the courage to step forward. It's Steve Hirano. Steve's not a professional animal trainer, but he knows he has to do something.
I think the thing that went through my mind was just keeping the audience calm and not having them run into the arena or run out of the arena to create some sort of disturbance where the elephant would follow after them.
But the elephant does follow them. It charges out of the arena, leaving behind a path of destruction. Now outside, it crushes everything in its way. It tramples a sport utility vehicle. Then it attacks another trainer.
Watch out, Bobby! Run!
The trainer runs, but can't find a way out. Finally, he manages to escape. The police car tries to corral the rampaging animal. But it's no use. Now it's the cops who must flee for their lives. As the patrol car barrels through an open gate, Steve arrives on the scene. In a daring attempt to contain the uncontrollable elephant, he makes a last-ditch effort to shut the gate. But a chain-link fence is no match for this raging beast.
She was getting into a position as if she were getting ready to crush me. And I realized how close I was to getting killed.
Fortunately, the police are able to distract the enraged elephant, but it continues its reign of terror. As drivers escape their cars, one woman is trapped inside, directly in the elephant's path. Authorities have no choice. Sadly, they must stop the demented animal at all costs.
1, 2, 3.
This tragic event is now over. Many owe their thanks and their lives to the courage of one heroic man.
You look back at it and reflect on it, and I'm just glad to be here alive today.
Sao Paulo, Brazil. At a fireworks festival, thousands of spectators watch in awe as rockets are launched from skybound balloons. One after another, the balloons take flight and light up the heavens with a dazzling display of pyrotechnics. But as the crew prepares to send the next balloon aloft, disaster strikes. Barely off the ground, a spark causes the payload of fireworks to explode. Within seconds, thousands of Roman candles become missiles, sending terrified onlookers running for their lives. Just when it appears that the crisis is over, flaming pieces of rubber from the burning balloon rain down on crates of nearby fireworks, setting off even more explosions. The fiery torpedoes strike the stampeding spectators. Thankfully, no one is killed. But the people at this festival will never forget just how dangerous fireworks can be. Across Wisconsin, a murder-for-hire plot unfolds in this motel room.
What's her name? Susan? There's nobody around.
Jim Schumann is contracting a hitman to kill his wife.
What's the chances of removing her, making her disappear?
That can be done.
Is that too tough for you?
No, that can be done.
And not show up again?
I understand.
This is not a casual conversation. Schumann knows exactly what he wants.
You've got two kids involved, and I don't want them touched.
Okay. I'm not going to do anything when anybody else is around.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, the other thing I need an alibi out.
I got that down here, yeah.
Schumann's motive for murder? He'd rather see his wife dead than pay her alimony.
I mean, I've been living in for 3 years, Eric.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sick of it. I'm losing everything with these attorneys.
There's just one hitch in Schumann's plan. This is no hitman. He's really a cop.
I've been working undercover as a hitman for about the last 5 years. When Mr. Schumann came into the hotel room, I was taken aback by how clean-cut and well-dressed and well-spoken he was.
Schumann and his wife Susan seem to have it all. A happy life with 2 wonderful kids. But after 17 years, their marriage disintegrated, leading to a bitter divorce.
Initially, when I found out that he had actually tried to hire someone to kill me, I was in shock. Just plain shock.
The best is if she disappears. So there's no corpse.
Okay. All right. Do you care how it's done? I mean, do you want her to go quick, let her sleep, want her to suffer? Make any difference?
Just go on.
Out of here, huh?
Yeah, make it easier on yourself. But I don't want it done this week.
You mean this fall coming?
Yeah, my son's birthday. I just want to be right.
It gave me shivers up my spine. It made me feel like I just couldn't believe that I was married to this man. He's sitting here talking about having me killed and different ways to do it. Like he's talking about the weather.
What's this going to cost me?
What do you got?
Not much right now.
I thought Mr. Schumann was in very much total control of his thought process. He was very cold, very calculating. It's almost like we were talking about selling a car.
Not only does Schumann want his wife murdered, he also tells the undercover agent to kill her father if he gets in the way.
If you have to waste him, that's fine. He's the one who should be wasted.
Well, if you got the money, man, it's up to you.
No, man.
But you want what, the old man, your dad?
Well, if he's in the way, take him home.
You pay for that?
I'd make it right with you. Provided
So-
we ain't talking $1 jillion here.
It ain't $1 jillion, but it ain't free.
I understand that. Person in your business can't be free.
The undercover cop asks for some expense money to get things rolling.
I mean, coming up here has cost me, you know, gas, hotel and stuff. I mean, I'd look at least to cover my expenses, you know, for this trip up here.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you all the cash I got on me right now, which ain't much, but I'll get you some more.
What do you got?
I got a hell of a lot with me right now. I'm just absolutely burnt out with attorneys and stuff, but I can get you some cash. That's not the end of the world.
Mr. Schumann actually hired me to kill as many as 8 people. He told me that if these hits went well, I could make a handsome living.
Suddenly, this man who would rather see his wife dead than pay her alimony now has plenty of money to spend on multiple murders.
Yeah, I can tell you what I've done it for in the past.
Okay, don't tell me.
I usually go 10 grand ahead. Okay.
I can count it.
Is that all right with you?
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable that someone that you've been with for that many years is capable of doing that to you and is capable of having no conscience, having no feelings.
It's the only way I can do it, I think, at this point. I mean, she's ruining everything.
That's fine with me, okay?
I mean, you don't care. You're
That's
not,
right, I'm in it for, you know,
for money.
but, you know, I'm going to consider it as of right now, you know, I'm going forward with this.
1 week later, police arrest Schumann after he gives the undercover cop a $1,500 down payment. He is later sentenced to 35 years in prison. Ursa, Illinois. Farmer Stan Frazier has an old silo he needs to get rid of to make room for his new crops. Looking to save a few bucks, Stan wants to use dynamite to blow up the silo. His wife Diane does not approve.
We know some people that do a lot of blasting. He said, just go get some dynamite, blow it up, pick up the bricks, and go. Do not do this.
So Stan comes up with a new plan. He's going to thread some chain through holes in the lower level of his silo and pull the bottom out. The top will surely follow. Or will it?
We have a minor difficulty.
But things don't go according to plan. He pulls out the foundation, but the silo's still standing, and it's extremely unstable.
To me, it was just going to fall down and we were all going to go home and eat lunch, but that isn't what happened at all.
Then Stan's dad, a lifelong farmer, has an idea. Since the silo is already leaning, he tells Stan to get on his bulldozer and give it a little push. But Diane fears for her husband's safety.
I've got 2 kids. God didn't make me to be a single parent. Don't do this to me. What are you doing?
By the time Stan puts his bulldozer in gear, it's too late for Diane to stop him. She can only watch as things get worse. A lot worse. Diane pulls her breath.
There was dust, there was bricks flying everywhere, and my husband was underneath all of it. All I could see was the silo was falling on top of him, and he was gone. I assumed he was dead.
The bulldozer is buried in the rubble, and there's no sign of Stan. But then, to everyone's surprise, he emerges unhurt.
I had lots of mortar and rocks in my pockets. Don't know how it ever got in there, but it never put a scratch on me.
Stan tries to put on a brave face for Diane's sake, but this near-death experience has deeply affected them both.
We backed the dozer out of the pile of stuff, and I got off, and my wife come running over, and we just hugged each other.
Stan and Diane still can't bear to watch the videotape of that ill-fated day. The day that their world almost came tumbling down.
But it all turned out okay, and we know you're not going to do that again, are we?
No.
Canberra, Australia. The country's top rally racers have gathered to vie for the championship trophy. The first 3 laps have been free of accidents. But about a mile into the final leg, the lead car barrels into this dangerous turn at over 100 miles per hour. Driver Alan Laverick locks up the brakes and sends the car into a spin.
The ultimate aim at that stage was just to get as much speed off the car as we could and minimise the damage when we actually did hit something.
His 280Z careens into TV cameraman Michael Barnett, who was covering the race.
As soon as the car came to a halt, I looked around to see what the problem was, and there was his body lying on the ground beside the car.
Let's see the replay from the cameraman's point of view. Nearly 3,000 pounds of speeding metal hurtling straight at it, with nothing in the way to stop it. It It's hard to believe that anyone could survive a collision like this. But Michael did.
The split second I got hit, chaos broke out. There were screaming spectators. They were all along the hill. Marshals came running down. They were on top of me within seconds, telling me not to move and not to worry.
Paramedics rush Michael to the hospital. They are amazed to discover he's escaped his brush with death with only a broken leg. The only person more surprised is Michael himself.
It could very well have been a fatal accident captured on tape, yes, and I'm just so glad that it wasn't.
Forbes, Australia. It's the last lap of the last race of the harness racing season. It's been a perfect accident-free year. No riders or horses have been injured. But as the horses head into the backstretch, that clean record is about to become a thing of the past.
At the 600, she's a problem. Just a leader from Brooks, Sky Warrior and Senegal. It's Sanata. Oh, he's trouble in the last. All sorts of problems there. That horse has buckled and gone down. She's a problem. Horses and drivers everywhere. And what's left? There's nothing left.
Keep your eye on the inside horse at the front of the pack. Ironically, her name is She's a Problem. She's a Problem becomes a big problem when she trips and topples into the dirt. The mishap starts a frightening chain reaction as 10 horses go down. The carriages crash to the ground as drivers lie in fear of being trampled to death. Medical personnel rush onto the track. They are relieved to find that no riders or horses have been seriously hurt in the pileup.
And everybody wants you to keep off the track, please, and allow the officials to do the job they have to.
For this track, the dream of an accident-free season has gone up in a cloud of dust. St. Louis, Missouri. It was supposed to be the thrill of a lifetime.
It was something he wanted to do. He's excited about it.
A breathtaking bungee jump from a height of 200 feet.
You just assume it's going to be safe because otherwise they wouldn't let him do it.
But in one split second, the ultimate thrill became the ultimate in terror. On this 4th of July weekend, 39-year-old Marty Hatch prepares for his first bungee jump. He arrives early, the first jumper of the day.
We had a whole group of people coming down because Marty had let the word out that he was going to do this bungee jump, and there were some circulars going around, and we were doing his last will and testament and just having a lot of fun with it.
After Marty steps into the bungee cage, he is hoisted into the air.
It just kept going up, and I thought, my God, look how high up that is.
The cage reaches its maximum height, looming 10 stories above the fairgrounds.
All of our friends, we were all down below, looking up at him and chanting, jump, jump, jump.
With the bungee cord strapped to his waist and ankles, Marty inches to the edge of the platform.
Come on, Marty!
He received some final words of advice from his instructor, but nothing could prepare him for what happens next. Marty leaps headfirst from the platform, but as he plunges to the ground, tragedy strikes.
It was shocking because you expected to see this person go back up, and instead he just fell to the ground.
It was just, I can't describe it. It was just really terrible.
The cord snaps, sending Marty into a deadly free fall. Miraculously, Marty lands on the corner of a giant airbag. Friends and paramedics rush to his side. Marty is conscious, but he is not moving. Everyone fears the worst.
The paramedics were telling me to just lay still, be calm. They were checking for paralysis to see if there was a severe spinal injury. When I wiggled my arms and legs, they all worked, and I was very happy at that point.
Marty has survived his terrifying ordeal.
I remember falling through the air And I was wondering when the recoil would come as I was getting closer to the ground. When I heard the snap, I thought, oh my gosh, something's wrong.
Marty endures several operations as a result of his fall, but he knows that the outcome could have been worse.
If things had been slightly different, I could have landed head first, which more than likely would have meant my death.
An investigation would later reveal that this horrifying accident could have easily been avoided.
Safety latches were not in place to keep the cable on the hook. From what I was told, it was just operator error, negligence on their part in not hooking up the system correctly.
Marty's quest for the ultimate thrill nearly cost him his life. But on this day, luck was on his side.
My mother has always said I had 9 lives from other stunts that have happened in the past, and she indicated that I probably used 7 that day.
Kennedale, Texas. State Trooper Stephen White has pulled over a car that he suspects of having phony plates. But the driver takes off, and the chase begins. The suspect weaves in and out of his lane, then veers off the roadway.
At that moment, I felt like he was intoxicated, and every intoxicated driver is potentially a deadly driver.
After a low-speed chase, the suspect drives onto the freeway and accelerates. He tries to escape the trooper by passing 2 vehicles. Then suddenly, he loses control. His car fishtails and broadsides a van, causing it to smash into a semi. Trooper White is a veteran cop, but even he's stunned by the violent 3-car pileup.
When I watched the Cadillac strike the side of the bin and drive it in to the 18-wheeler, I really had a moment of shock. I was not looking forward to going up to those vehicles because I was afraid that someone had been seriously injured.
Following procedure, White approaches the suspect's car with his gun drawn.
I rushed towards the suspect's vehicle and found him laying on the roof of his vehicle.
The driver is not injured, and thankfully, neither are the other motorists. Trucker Mike Wendell recalls feeling helpless at the moment of impact.
I felt the van hit me, the truck started going sideways, and I saw the wall coming up, and there's nothing I could do. You just wonder how many people you're going to take out with you.
Ty Mullins, the driver of the van, will never forget the sound of the horrifying collision.
And all you can hear is brakes and a big old smack. That 18-wheeler ripped up my truck like a can opener.
The suspect is convicted of driving while intoxicated and evading arrest and is sent to jail. It's a miracle that all 3 drivers survived.
The odds of an impact on those vehicles that occurred on that day and someone not being injured are just 1,000,000 to 1. Someone was really looking out for everyone on the road that day.
Portland, Maine. Authorities receive an urgent distress call from a boat that's on fire. Local fishermen respond in force and race toward the growing column of black smoke on the horizon. When they arrive on the scene, the men are shocked to discover that the fishing boat belongs to one of their buddies, Jerry Balzano.
Whose boat is that? Who's it belong to? Belongs to Jerry Balzano out of Portland, Maine.
A news helicopter circles the blazing boat looking for survivors. But Jerry and his crewman, John Caesar, are nowhere to be found. The fishermen frantically search the water for the missing men, when suddenly the propane tanks explode. The boat is engulfed in a deadly fireball. Fiery fragments of the ship rain down from the sky. A Coast Guard crew battles the inferno, but holds little hope of finding any survivors. But luckily, Jerry and John are still alive.
Everybody's off from it. Everybody's okay.
The men were rescued by the crew of a nearby fishing boat just moments before the blast. To the relief of their family and friends, Jerry and John make it safely to shore. Today, Jerry has returned to fish these waters, but he'll never forget the close call that nearly ended his life. Calgary, Australia. An enthusiastic crowd has gathered to watch stunt driver Ray Bowman attempt a world record jump. To set the new mark, Ray must successfully leap over 45 cars. His hot rod, nicknamed the Coffin, is towed to the starting line. Now he's ready. Ray floors it, hitting the ramp at 125 miles an hour. Then, disaster. Ray comes up short. His car hurtles end over end and breaks apart. Rescue teams rush in, only to find Ray trapped inside the mangled wreckage. Take another look. The front end of Ray's car is too heavy, causing him to nosedive 3 cars short of his goal. Ray suffers a broken leg, but incredibly, he's alive. Though in pain, he manages a smile for his fans. Even though the Coffin nearly became Ray's final resting place, he's not about to give up his dream for a world record.
Next time out, we'll break a record, and also I'll come out a lot more fit and a lot more better than what I come out this time.